Hey guys, I'm back and I'm here with Brandon Reed. How you doing, Brandon?
Good. How are you, Jay?
How do you like the couch?
The couch is great.
Isn't that nice?
I should be sitting here all day.
I don't know where you snagged this thing for me, but it's awesome.
Nothing but the best for our exhibitors, man.
So Brandon is one of the main players in the Trinity Sportsmen's event that we're at now. And, of course, we decided to broadcast live on our Facebook page as best we could. And we've had a few other guests on, but Brandon is important and an integral part of this whole thing. So I wanted to have Brandon on to explain kind of how this all came about and what the history behind the event. So, and again, if you're in New Hampshire on Clinton Street, you want to come down to the Trinity Baptist Church. That's where we're at right now. So, Brandon, welcome to Facebook Live on the Big Buck Registry. How are you, my friend?
I am very good, thank you. How are you, Jay?
Well, I'm just going to snuggle in back here. So this event almost, it hit a nasty little trick today from Mother Nature.
That's right.
And everybody was, is this going to happen?
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
And it's happening right now as we speak. And tell me about the history of the event. I mean, I've been to this thing quite a few times over the last few years, and it's always it's well laid out. It's well planned. The vendors are nice. It always brings out the best outdoors people around. How did it all develop?
Well, this is our 13th year of doing the show. Brian Clark, who started it, just had heard about different sportsmen's banquets around the world, around United States, different churches that hold them, and thought, we got enough guys in the church that love to hunt, fish, trap, do different things that this might be a good thing for us to start doing to reach out into the community, to bring folks in that might not usually come to church in a non-pressured atmosphere, and just get to know people and share what we love to do, to hunt and fish, bird hunt, deer hunt, whatever it might be. And back then it started with 2 tables run by 2 guys that were members of the church, and a banquet dinner. So it was a very small, much different than it is today.
2 tables.
2 tables. 13 years ago, 2 tables.
Now you've got how many rooms?
Well, we didn't even have this building that we're in now at the time.
Okay.
We only had the building out front. So now we're in 4 rooms, over 50 exhibitors,
right,
which does not count the climbing wall, the pellet range, the archery range, and the different little things that we do here as an addition to.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's really taken off. In the years following, it was mostly in-house guys like myself. I came on and I did a fishing table, and then for several years I did trail cameras, as I used to build my own trail cameras. So I did a huge display on that. So every year we've added. We've had a good connection with Fish and Game, who's supported us, always been at our event, and it just there seems to be a good buzz every year, and it just grows, and we have people calling to come join the show.
Tell me a little bit about the format. I mean, you told me about this last year, and it kind of blew my mind. It's free to get in.
That's right.
It's free to display as an exhibitor.
Yeah.
Why that format?
Well, again, we wanted to reach out into the community, and I guess our thought was at times maybe if you invite someone to church and you tell them they got to pay, that's a double whammy. They may not want to come to church,
right,
and then if they got to pay, well, maybe not.
Right.
So we wanted it to be a friends reaching out to friends kind of situation, and not, especially the day's event, keeping it open to a family feel, and not having to charge. And then we separate the game dinner. We keep as a separate event, as a personal invitation, because at that time there's a meal, there's door prizes, but there's also a speaker who shares the word of God and gives an invitation. So we never want people to come into that and feel like we tricked them into coming to church, if you will.
Gotcha.
So to make somebody pay and then have them sit through a message, if that's not what they want to do, some people might be offended by that and maybe wouldn't come back. So we've always been cautious. on how we handle that.
I'd almost argue that the people that might be offended probably aren't in this building.
That's true. They may not come anyway. That's right. But we always try to be careful. So
Gotcha.
we have a budget, but also the number of people that contribute and assist with this event. Shirt Masters over in Chichester helps out with the T-shirts that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Just this year, the Boy Scouts came through with tables. Normally, we rent tables, and that's a huge part of our cost. They came through and donated all the tables that we needed for all the exhibitors because we provide exhibitors with
Gotcha.
tables. New Hampshire Outdoor Learning Center helps pay for the Hawkeye ad. And then we, as members or people that are involved, will pay extra for our meal ticket in order that we can invite someone for free.
Wow. So it sounds like there's a lot of volunteer work going on. There's some people that are donating money for the things that you have to pay for.
Correct.
And the exhibitors here are, I mean, the best of the best in New Hampshire. There's how you could draw that many people or that many exhibitors that have something to do with the outdoors into your event. I think speaks very highly of the event itself, and the fact that it's free is even better.
Right. And what we find is we get a lot of exhibitors. We talk to our exhibitors, find out what can we do to make it better. Most times they say nothing, which is a compliment, which is
Right.
great. But then they start to talk to their friends. So many of these people that are here are because the guy next to them or this table next to them invited them and shared their contact information, or we've worked with Mark Beauchesne from Fish and Game and found some people.
Yeah.
And the word gets out, and we try to do well, and we try to specifically support local if we can, and stay with hunting and fishing and the outdoors.
Right.
In that avenue, rather than, we're not trying to sell spots to make money. That's not our goal.
Right.
So it keeps us we're going to focus on what we want to focus on.
Tell me about your hunting adventures in New Hampshire.
Oh,
what
boy.
do you hunt? I mean, I can tell you're avid outdoorsman. You wouldn't have started, gotten involved with this if you weren't.
That's right. This is a lot of fun. I love to hunt. I have a good amount of children and love taking them hunting. I deer hunt, I bear hunt, I turkey hunt, and all bow hunt, muzzleloader, rifle. Been hunting. I was in the military, got out of the military, and my family was a big hunting family. My grandfather, aunts, my uncles, and so it just kind of was in the blood, and I was self-taught for most everything, but it's been fun. I love to hunt. Yeah,
that's cool.
I love to share it with my kids too and friends.
Do you have a memorable deer hunting story that you could tell us?
Oh boy, there's so many. But yes.
You have one in mind.
I'm gonna try to think this through.
Okay. I'll give you a moment.
Probably the biggest buck I ever shot.
What year was this?
This was 2011.
Okay.
I was hunting a swamp. It's behind where my grandparents used to live.
Yep.
And my uncles never were big on hunting the swamp because they're never going to come out of the swamp. And if you shoot them, they're going back in the swamp.
Ask Dan Infalt about that.
That's right. I've listened to that. Yeah. I've listened to that podcast.
Exactly.
So I shot my first buck out of that swamp in 1995.
Okay.
That was an 8-pointer, 180 pounds. And I got to register it at my grandfather's. He ran a check-in station in Canterbury on Center Road.
Right.
He was a fish and game warden. And since then, I've always hunted that swamp. It's been a challenge to me. And when nobody wants to do it, I just love that challenge. So 2011, running a lot of trail cameras. Never had a picture of this buck. But I went in one night and had a good friend of mine that I hunt with at the far end of the swamp. And got set up early afternoon and saw this buck come. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I just walked through the woods and saw a pile of moose droppings.
Yep.
And when this buck ever came out of the swamp and I caught just a glimpse of his antler, I thought it was a young bull moose. I know that sounds crazy, but
no,
the rack was
I've been there.
That rack,
it catches you off guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this spot I'm in, it's my honey hole. My buddy knows it's my honey hole, and I've killed a lot of deer out of the same area. And that deer came out at 45 yards, and I practice at 50, 60 yards with my bow. And I was tempted, but I didn't want to risk it on this animal, so I waited. Right. Well, as soon as I paused for a minute, he started walking straight at me. And
that's nice.
He rubbed a tree, came straight at me. Rubbed another tree, came straight at me. He's about at 18 yards, and I'm standing up in my stand thinking at any minute this tree stand's going to creak and make a noise, and a buck of this caliber is gone forever.
Now, give me one sec. So you can probably see my gears turning. You see my eyes, and this is what happens when I do the podcast. When I'm this isn't, most of our podcasts are not video.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when people start telling me these stories, this is exactly what I'm doing. You can now see how I'm just looking up and I'm visualizing these moments.
Right.
All right, keep going.
Yeah. So this deer is coming straight at me. And he's rubbing trees along the way, and I'm thinking I need to either shoot or I'm going to get busted. This isn't going to last long. And he came literally straight under my tree stand, and I had to turn and shoot straight down. Not a shot that I would prefer to take, but it's the shot I had. Right. And I was going for the spine shot.
Right.
Well, I was off by an inch or two, but I saw the arrow sink in. Half the arrow went in, buried. And on
the spine shot, that's going to make you feel a little better.
Yeah, it felt good until he went a long way. I quickly got, we got down, and my buddy came over and we started searching. We did the best we could. But what happened is I couldn't find my arrow, and I did not get an exit.
Okay.
So I'm high with no exit wound.
Mm-hmm.
We tracked for quite a ways, but it's in the swamp.
That means you're tracking for a while.
That's
I've had the exact same shot.
That's right.
300 yards and no blood.
That's right.
Found that deer though.
We were tracking with water on leaves.
Gotcha.
Just sign like that. That's what we were finding to indicate where he went.
Yeah.
So I called in. I have a good group of friends, and the phone call went out. But my buddy that I was with had just recently used a blood tracking dog.
Yeah.
So that was the first call that went out. So I had to leave this deer overnight. And in this area, it's coyote country.
Mm-hmm.
So I was concerned. But we got the blood tracking dog there the next morning. And unfortunately, the dog did very well for quite a ways. It found some sign that we did not. But then the handler fell in a creek in the swamp and was kind of that was the end of that. But the dog wanted to keep going. The dog, and I was prepared to carry the dog to wherever it wanted to go.
Right.
But the handler was done. So that's when the real phone call went out, and I had 5 guys show up, 5 of my real good friends.
Gotcha.
And we began to grid search the swamp.
The grid search.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yep. We got all the way across the swamp through some of the nastiest, thickest stuff you've ever been through.
Right.
Didn't find anything, and my hopes were dwindling fast. And one of the guys said, well, let's go back and start over. And I said, okay, let's go back to where the dog wanted to cross that creek.
Good idea.
So we were headed in that direction. We were using ribbon tape, and I ribboned everything off, and I could see the tape. So we were headed in that direction. When the guy I was with happened to look down in a water hole, and there was my deer with just its head laying up on the edge of the shore.
Yeah.
And he was fully submerged in the water.
Wow.
And that was a good day. It was a beautiful 10-pointer that made New Hampshire Antler Skull the book.
Really?
Yeah, just shy of Pope and Young because of some deductions.
So that's a dandy.
It was a beauty. Yeah, it was a beauty. What was best was having the guys that I had with me to share that moment, and then to take it up to my grandmother's house and have her there to get a picture of her with me with that deer. So it was pretty awesome.
That's very cool, man. Well, very nice. I appreciate you coming on the show and telling us the history behind the Trinity Sportsmen's event.
Sure.
And I'm sorry that Brian had to go deal with this white stuff that just pounding us today.
Yeah. His wife was stuck in the driveway, so he was off to rescue her.
Welcome to New Hampshire in the springtime.
That's right.
Spring, and it's April 1st. It really was kind of a nasty little April Fool's joke, but it's people have turned out, and it's it's a great event. It's a great event every year, and there's a good buzz and energy here that I think, you don't get it a lot at some shows sometimes. And it's not overwhelming.
Right.
That's another thing that this show is kind of nice is it's not over the top.
One of the, and I didn't mention this before, but one of the key things we try to not do here is we're not big on sales of goods.
Right.
And we have had a lot of feedback from exhibitors saying, you know what, they appreciate that, the no pressure. They haven't paid a lot of money for a spot, and they don't feel like they have to sell themselves. They can actually talk to people and just enjoy themselves in a low pressure environment.
Right.
So we've had a lot of good feedback from that, the way it's done that way.
Right. Well, keep up the good work. It's a fantastic event. I'll be down here every year from now on.
Awesome.
Doing this Facebook Live thing as long as we can tap into the server next year.
Excellent. Yeah. We will work out those details for sure.
Awesome,
for sure.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Guys, we'll be back in just a little bit. We're going to go look at some foraging for New Hampshire edibles here in just a little bit. But I see the guys from the New Hampshire Shed Hunters are now here, and I'm going to try to grab them before we go there. But tune back in just a little bit.